I look so pale in this light. I could almost be a vampire. Yeah, just kidding. Hey everybody, it's Sierra Lowe. Welcome back to another Good Clean Read here on Good Clean Reading. This week was on a vampire binge, so I read Immortal Rules. I know you were probably thinking about Twilight when I said that. You would be wrong. I really like this book. This was a good book. It's a fantasy. People say dystopian, but I don't think it's a dystopian. It's like more of a post-apocalyptic book because there's no like perfect society. Like honestly, their society it sucks. I would never want to live in this book. You know, on the list of places I would want to live, like fictional worlds, this would be one of the bottom ones because it is not a fun place to live in. Oh my goodness. You have vampires, first of all, that rule the cities. And then if you go out of the cities, because like if you're in the city, you have to be like this blood cattle person. Like they just drain you for blood. And if not, then you're poor and starving to death. But then if you leave the city, you could get attacked by these crazy, rabid vampire zombies. Like, that sucks. I would not want to live here. It was a fun story to read, though. Basically, main character is Allison Skimoto, or Allie. She is a street rat that lives in the fringes on the outskirts of this vampire city, and she's constantly trying to not starve to death. And eventually she gets attacked by rabbits when trying to go outside the wall to find food, and you guessed it, she becomes a vampire and learns all about the vampire way of life, or way of afterlife, I guess you could say. The vampires really are scary in this book. They're not like, ooh, they sparkle and they're so attractive. No, they're scary. They are scary. They look at you and you just know that you're food. And they're just creepy. They have to drink human blood or they go crazy and turn into a rabbit, which is bad, of course. And they can't go in the sun, so they're a lot more like traditional vampires, but I mean, like garlic and silver does nothing to them. Neither does salt. Salt does nothing. But the sun, they can't deal with the sun or fire. They don't like wooden stakes. But the way that you kill them is you cut off their head. I'll be honest, it's really not glamorous. But it's really interesting because the fact that she has to drink human blood really makes you think, you know, like there's a lot of interesting internal conflict and external conflict that goes with that because she has to drink human blood or she'll go crazy. And since she has to drink human blood, she has to be by humans. But when you're around people, you start caring about them, and then it comes to that one point where you're like, who am I gonna take blood from? Is it my friend over here, or is it my friend over there, or is it my friend? Like it becomes a game of like whose life means more to you, which is so dangerous and scary to think about because, you know, in the end, everybody's life is important. But she struggles with that, like, well, even like taking blood from a complete stranger she doesn't know, she's like, what did they do to deserve that? You know, they're a person too. And so I thought it was a really cool conflict inwardly and then outwardly too, because if people find out she's a vampire that she cares about, then they're going to be upset and angry and hate her. It had a really cool theme between humanity and monsters and trying to figure out, you know, who and what are truly the monsters in this book, because there was a lot of humans that were a lot worse than the vampires were. But then again, the main character, she is constantly fighting against her inner monster as a vampire. It was a wild ride. It was really cool because it didn't glamorize vampires. They were definitely monsters, but it was a really interesting take on vampires. Vampires, to me, they're not supposed to be glamorous. They're supposed to be scary. They're monsters. So I liked how they were portrayed in Immortal Rules because it was, I don't want to say realistic because vampires aren't realistic, but it was what you would expect a vampire to be like. They're scary. They're not alluring, or you don't want to become one. There was definitely stakes. It wasn't like, oh, she's gonna be fine. You're not gonna be able to kill her or anything. She could die multiple times as a vampire. So it was intense that way because you were wondering the whole entire time, is she gonna die? Is she gonna make it out alive? I don't know. Because you don't know until you read the book. But I liked it because in all of the other books, with vampires, it's just, the normal, they're basically unkillable except for like this one weakness that they have, which is boring to read. There's no stakes, but with this, the stakes are high. The stakes are high in this book. And then when humans are added to that, it gets even higher. And so I really liked this book. The few things I would worry about this book, the swearing is the worst thing. It's clean. Other than that, nothing uncomfortable happens. It's violent, so there will be a lot of blood because it's a vampire book. But the main thing for me was the swearing. There's so much swearing in this book. It makes me cringe a lot, not a little, a lot. So I would do a huge red flag for the swearing. Yeah. Mainly that, just lots of swearing. So if you don't like swearing, you probably won't enjoy reading this book. Other than that, it's clean. There are no awkward scenes where you'd be like, ugh, like, unless you're thinking about the gore. There was no romantic awkwardness that would make you feel uncomfortable, which I liked in this book, that there was none of that. The main thing was swearing. But if you don't mind, it's a good book. So yeah, let's see. Would you like to live in a world of vampires? Why or why not? That's what I want to know. And then if you could pick one of those vampire worlds to live in, which one would you pick? I'm curious. I personally would not want to live in a world of vampires. I never thought that being a vampire would be appealing, ever. I don't. It doesn't sound like fun. It just sounds stressful and really gross. You have to, drink other... No. Ugh. No. I don't want to get that close to people. Especially people you don't know. And who knows what's in their blood? I don't know. Well, no. I don't care if you look eternally young. That's gross. I don't know. I like food too much. Food is good. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you next week with another good, clean read.